When you go silent, her mind goes crazy. Psychology tips. Silence is the language of the wise. Unknown. Silence speaks volumes. When you go quiet, it's not just her ears that pick it up, it's her heart. She feels it. The absence of your words creates a void that resonates deeper than any conversation. And here's the uncomfortable truth. It's during these silences that her mind goes into overdrive. In today's video, we're diving into what really happens when you stop talking, stop texting, and stop chasing. If you've ever wondered what runs through her mind when you go silent, this is the video you need to watch. By the end of it, you'll see things in a new light, and you'll never find yourself begging for attention again. 1. Her ego starts talking to her first. When you go silent, her mind goes wild. It's not just that she misses you, it's far more intricate. You see, when you withhold attention, you're not just taking a step back, you're shaking her world in a way she never expects. The first thing to feel the shift is her ego, not her heart. In a world flooded with constant praise, likes, texts, and stares, attention has become her silent currency. It's so ingrained that she doesn't even notice its presence until it's gone. When you, the man who was once part of that noise, step back and withhold your presence, the silence is deafening and worse, it feels like an insult. Her ego jumps in first, asking, "Why hasn't he called? Did I do something wrong? Does he not want me anymore?" Initially, she'll brush it off. She'll laugh it away with friends, pretend it doesn't faze her, maybe post a glamorous picture of herself to prove she's fine. But underneath, a nagging question slowly begins to grow. Why him? Why is he the only one who doesn't give me the attention I'm used to? That's when silence takes on its true power. The ego doesn't like being ignored. It hates the feeling of not being at the center of attention. It thrives on validation. When you step away, the absence of your words forces her to think, really think, and that uncertainty shakes her sense of control. Silence isn't a rejection, it's a question. And silence doesn't come with clear, obvious answers like rejection does. It leaves her wondering, guessing, searching for explanations. While rejection may sting, silence creates a void. It allows her mind to spiral. And this is where the magic happens. Silence disrupts her comfort zone. She goes from feeling like the queen of her world, with men fighting for her attention, to feeling like just another person in the waiting game, unsure and vulnerable. This shift undermines her confidence and forces her to deal with an unfamiliar sense of doubt. It's essential to know that when her ego is bruised, she won't show it immediately. Instead, she may act cold, distant, or even try to make you jealous. These behaviors are just masks, carefully crafted to cover up what's truly happening beneath the surface. Deep down, she's thinking about you more than she'd care to admit. Most men miss this moment because they cave into the urge to chase, call, text, and reassure. But if you resist that impulse, if you let her ego burn in the quiet, you'll discover something crucial. Your silence isn't weakness, it's power. By holding back, you're taking control of the situation, and that's when the chase begins, silently and subtly. It's in those moments of quiet that her ego starts to question itself, and that's when the dynamic starts to shift. So, don't underestimate the strength in silence. It doesn't just create curiosity, it unsettles her pride. This is one of the most powerful psychology tips when it comes to relationships. Silence challenges her ego, and once that happens, she'll start to think about you in ways she never expected. If you're looking for real love advice, remember that sometimes saying nothing says everything. When you give her space to question, you open the door for a deeper connection that's not based on surface-level validation, but on a real, meaningful pull toward one another. Remember, dating tips aren't just about showing up and saying the right things. It's about knowing when to hold back and make her wonder. That silence, in the right moment, is far more powerful than any text or phone call. 2. She tests your patience. When you go silent, her mind goes into overdrive. It's not just about her missing you, it's a deeper test she's putting you through. Women are wired differently. So when you stop texting or calling, her first instinct isn't always, "I miss him, but let me see how long he can last." It's a challenge. And whether she consciously realizes it or not, silence is setting off an alarm in her mind. At first, she might experience a surge of ego. Silence creates space, and in that space, her mind races. The longer you hold your ground, the more intense this test becomes. She will begin thinking, if I wait this out, he'll crack. He'll come crawling back. The game she plays here is designed to test your resolve. She wants to see if you can handle the pressure or if you'll fold. This silent game is subtle but powerful. She might delay her responses, ignore your messages or story views. Maybe she'll post something new online, a picture in a sexy outfit, a photo from a night out, or even a snapshot with another guy. None of this is random. It's all designed to provoke a reaction, to see if you'll panic. If you rush back with a long emotional text, you've already lost. You've given her the power to control the situation, and that's exactly what she wants. But here's where the psychology behind this game really hits home. When you don't respond immediately, when you hold steady, she's forced to reevaluate. In her mind, she begins to ask, why isn't this working on him? Every other guy would have caved by now. Why isn't he reacting the way I expect? This is the turning point. The test flips. What started as her trying to measure your strength turns into her realizing that you actually have it. The true power here is in your patience. The more you remain silent, the more unsettled she becomes. She begins to feel unsure of herself. The longer you hold firm, the less control she has. When you stay calm, when you don't fold under the pressure, you pass the test. You show her that you're not just another man hoping for her attention. You're a man who understands his value. You're a man who can stand tall in the storm. Silence is uncomfortable. It can feel unnatural, and your pride will scream at you to speak up, to take action, to fix things. But true strength lies in restraint. True power is in your patience. When you remain calm and unshaken, you begin to shift the power dynamic. You stop being just another guy in her inbox, and you start becoming the man she can't stop thinking about. In the end, the key to attracting women is not about constant communication or desperate attempts to get attention. It's about understanding love psychology and recognizing that silence, when used strategically, can make you far more attractive than any desperate text or over-explanation ever could. By staying silent and holding your ground, you show her what real strength looks like. Attraction isn't built on desperation or weakness. It's built on patience, emotional control, and confidence in yourself. If you want to attract women, make sure you understand the psychology. Be the kind of man who isn't afraid of silence. Understand that silence can be a powerful tool when used with intention. Don't be afraid to hold your ground. It's exactly what will set you apart. 3. Curiosity turns into obsession. It's the psychology that many fail to understand. Silence creates a void, and the human brain, as it turns out, absolutely loathes emptiness. When no information is provided, her mind fills the space with her own thoughts, and trust me, imagination is always louder than reality. At first, she'll simply wonder why you haven't texted. Maybe she thinks, what's he up to? Is he busy? That's typical. But as the silence grows, so does her curiosity. And when curiosity is left unanswered, it doesn't just stay at the level of wonder, it deepens into something much more powerful, obsession. Imagine this. It's late at night. She's scrolling through her phone, expecting to see her usual goodnight texts or the random chats that have come to feel so comforting. But tonight, there's nothing. Her mind starts racing. Is he with someone else? Has he lost interest? Does he even care anymore? The silence amplifies every fear, every insecurity. She begins to question things she never thought about before. It's not just curiosity anymore. It's becoming an obsession. This is the fascinating aspect of silence. It turns you into a figure of fascination in her mind. And here's the kicker: imagination is far more flattering than reality. In her mind, you're stronger, more mysterious, and more intriguing than you ever were when you were always available. Your absence becomes larger than your presence ever was, and she starts to crave the feeling you once gave her. But since you're not around, she's left to reconstruct a version of you in her head, one that's more intense, more attractive, more elusive than what you actually were. Here's the truth that most men don't realize. Women don't miss men, they miss how men make them feel. When you pull away, she starts to yearn for the emotions you stirred in her. But because you're gone, those feelings are exaggerated. Your absence makes her imagination run wild, and before long, she's obsessing over what she can't have, all the while pretending she's unaffected. The paradox here is undeniable. Silence forces her to care more, but show it less. She might check your social media accounts multiple times a day, stalk your followers, or even ask mutual friends about you, all while maintaining that nonchalant exterior. She doesn't want to admit it, but the truth is, her obsession is growing. And guess what? You haven't done a single thing to make this happen. In fact, you've done the opposite. You've done nothing. That's the beauty of silence. Absence makes a lasting impression. It's easy to get hooked on attention, but the absence of it? That's unforgettable. The key here is to embrace the silence. Don't break it. Don't rush to give her the answer she's desperately searching for. The more she doesn't know, the more she wants to figure it out. And in that desire to know more, curiosity turns into obsession. This principle, one that the modern Stoic would understand, is deeply rooted in the philosophy of distance and presence. The old Stoic taught that restraint leads to mastery of the self, and in relationships, restraint is an incredibly powerful tool. The Stoics didn't chase affection or validation, they let it come naturally. You, too, can let curiosity build, let it transform into something that holds her attention, not by constantly being there, but by making her wonder where you are. That is how true attraction is built. Remember this: you must wield silence like a master. Let it do the work for you. Your absence will make her crave your presence. Your mystery will spark her imagination, and that will keep her hooked, far longer than any text message or phone call could ever do. Silence doesn't just create curiosity, it forces obsession, and obsession, as the Stoics would tell you, is a powerful force when harnessed correctly. If you found this insight powerful, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom on attraction and psychology. Comment below to claim your power. I choose to master the art of silence. 4. She replays past moments in her head. When you go silent, her mind doesn't rest. It kicks into overdrive, playing every moment you shared together, like a never-ending movie in her head. Silence has a profound effect, and here's why. It forces her to rely on her memories instead of creating new experiences with you. In the past, you were always there, texting, calling, and engaging constantly. She never had to stop and reflect. The present was loud and full. But now, silence enters the picture and everything changes. In that quiet, her mind reaches for what's missing you. At first, it's the small things: the sound of your laugh, the way you looked at her, even those little quirks she found irritating but secretly missed. As time passes, the memories deepen. She begins replaying entire conversations, questioning your words. Why did he say that? Was he hinting at something? Every conversation becomes an enigma, every word, every gesture analyzed. This is where the true power of silence kicks in. In your absence, you expand, occupying more space in her mind than you ever did when you were physically present. What once was just casual conversation transforms into something monumental. You move from being just a guy to the voice echoing in her head. Now, here's the kicker. The past always seems more romantic than the present. When she looks back, the good moments shine brighter than they were, and the fights don't seem as bad. Silence amplifies nostalgia, distorting her memory into something beautiful. So, as she replays those moments, you suddenly become the best version of yourself in her mind. This is why silence is infinitely more powerful than begging. When you chase her, all she sees is the present, and it reeks of desperation. But when you stay silent, all she can do is reflect on the past, and the past looks perfect. A song you used to play, a place you once visited together, even a random phrase you used to say, it all floods her mind in your absence. Suddenly, every corner of her day reminds her of you. She might be in a store, hear that old song, and boom, there you are, living rent-free in her thoughts again. That's why silence isn't just powerful, It's dangerous for her. You stop fighting for her attention and instead, you inhabit her memory. The longer she replays those moments, the clearer it becomes. She doesn't want them to remain a part of the past. Remember this: silence is one of the strongest tools you can wield in relationships. It forces reflection, reignites attraction, and creates an emotional space that can't be ignored. Don't underestimate its power. It's a psychology tip that speaks volumes without saying a word. 5. She starts comparing you to other men. Let's break it down. Most men aren't silent. They're chasing attention, texting too much, double texting, liking every post, commenting on every picture, trying to get her to notice them. It's exhausting to watch. And you know what happens in all this noise? You, the silent one, suddenly stand out. Why? Because human beings don't notice what's normal, they notice what's different. In a sea of desperation, your silence is like a breath of fresh air. You're no longer just another guy chasing her. You're the exception. And exceptions? They spark curiosity. Here's the psychology behind it. She begins to wonder, why isn't he chasing me like the others? Why does he seem so calm while everyone else is losing their minds over me? What makes him different? That's where the magic happens. The more she compares you to the other men, the more she's mentally competing to figure you out. And here's where it really hits. When she starts noticing how other men behave, your silence makes them look desperate. Every message she gets from the guys who are trying too hard only makes you look better. She realizes that while others are giving her attention like it's going out of style, you're the one who stands apart. You're not scrambling for her. You're not clinging. And that makes her wonder, what does he have that the others don't? The comparison shifts the power dynamic completely. Suddenly, you're not fighting for her attention. She's fighting for your attention. She's competing with herself to figure out why you're different and why she's drawn to you. Here's a little secret. Attention is cheap. It's everywhere. Every guy can give it to her, but your silence? It's rare. It's like a luxury item in a world full of fast food. The man who doesn't chase, who gives nothing, is more valuable than all the men who give everything. Let's get real. Deep down, women crave what they can't easily have. It's human nature. She may act like she doesn't care, but she can't stop comparing. She can't help but wonder why you're the one who doesn't chase, while everyone else does. This makes you the one who stands out, and she can't help but want what she can't have. You don't have to fake it. You don't need to compete. Your silence is the secret weapon. Every guy who tries too hard is doing the heavy lifting for you. Their desperation only amplifies your calm, your control, your mystery. Eventually, she'll look at her phone. She'll see all the messages from guys chasing her, trying to get her attention. And then she'll think about you, the one who isn't there. And just like that, you've won. Her thoughts will turn to you, and she'll miss you more than all the attention combined. This is how silence works in the world of attraction. You're not fighting for her, you're letting her fight for you. And in the game of love psychology, the less you try, the more you succeed. Remember, attraction isn't just about being present. It's about being the one who isn't. So, next time you're wondering if you're doing too much, remember this. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing you can do. Now, take these psychology tips and put them into action. You've got the relationship goals right here. And if you find today's content very interesting, please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comments section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. 6. She questions her own value. Silence can be your greatest tool, but you must wield it wisely. When you go silent, her mind begins to spiral, questioning everything she thought she knew. At first, it's all ego. Then, it's curiosity. But as time passes, silence triggers something deeper. She starts questioning her own worth. This is where silence cuts the deepest. Most women are accustomed to being the center of attention. In every room, they're the prize. Men notice them effortlessly. Their selfies get likes, their texts get replies. That constant validation builds a sense of power, and they feel untouchable above the chase. But when someone she is already attracted, suddenly goes silent, that sense of power cracks. Her thoughts turn inward. Am I not good enough for him? Did I lose my charm? Has he found someone better? These questions hit hard because they touch upon her greatest fear, being replaceable. Your silence, more than any words, exposes that fear, drawing it out in ways she'd never admit. Now, here's a truth most men don't understand: women don't lose sleep over men who adore them, they lose sleep over the ones who don't. Your silence makes her realize that your attention, something she once took for granted, is no longer guaranteed. And here's where the psychological shift happens. The human mind values what it believes is scarce. The moment your attention becomes uncertain, it becomes precious. She might try to cover up that insecurity with more selfies, more social media activity, or a sudden flood of indirect messages. It's not because she suddenly remembers you. No, she's fishing for validation. She's trying to fill the void that your silence has created. The reality is this: she doesn't question whether other men like her. She already knows they do. What keeps her up at night is whether you still do. And that, my friend, is where the power lies. At this stage, you may notice her reaching out in subtle ways. Maybe she likes an old post, sends a random text, or asks you a seemingly meaningless question. It's not because she's forgotten about you. It's because she's seeking reassurance. She wants to know she still matters in your world. The key here is to stay calm. If you rush in with reassurance, you kill the power of your silence. But if you hold your ground, if you remain composed and let her sit with her doubts, she'll begin to chase, not for attention in general, but specifically for your attention. This is where the real shift happens. Her own value is now in question, and that's when the power dynamic flips. You're no longer the one seeking to prove yourself. She is. You've turned the tables, and she finds herself running the race, not for your love, but to prove she's still worthy of it. The old Stoic philosophers understood the power of control, emotional control, the ability to remain calm in any storm. The modern Stoic takes this lesson to heart. In relationships, as in life, silence and emotional control are tools for mastering the dynamic. You must become the rock in a storm. As the Stoics said, the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. When you hold steady in the face of her doubt, you gain more than just her respect. You regain control of the situation. By letting her question her own value, you force her to confront her deepest insecurities. The power is now in your hands. Do not fear silence. Embrace it. You're not playing games. You're practicing Stoic wisdom in its purest form. Silence is a tool. Use it to your advantage. As Marcus Aurelius would say, he who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Your silence reflects inner strength, and once she feels that, she won't be able to look at you the same way again. 7. Respect replaces resistance. What began as ego, curiosity, or even frustration slowly evolves into respect. And respect? That's the foundation of lasting attraction. In the beginning, she might resist your silence. She may think, I'll show him. He'll come back. She might even double down, ignore you back, or try to provoke a reaction. But here's where it gets interesting. When you don't bend, when you remain unaffected, her resistance starts to crack. She begins to realize something that many men never show her: discipline. It takes real discipline to stay silent when your emotions scream for words. It takes incredible strength to remain calm when everything inside you is shouting to react. Women respect strength more than words, more than gifts, and more than pleas. Your silence speaks volumes. It communicates, I'm not controlled by you. I don't need your approval to feel whole. That level of self-control is rare, and rarity commands respect. Here's the twist: respect is what fuels true desire. Attraction without respect is shallow. It fades when something or someone else catches her eye. But respect, it shifts her perception. She no longer sees you as just another man trying to win her over. You become the man who doesn't fold under pressure, the one who can't easily be influenced. And that's the man she secretly craves. When resistance turns into respect, her energy shifts. She no longer tests you to break you. Instead, she tests you to gauge your strength. Each time you remain steady, her respect deepens. And that's when the dynamic shifts. She begins to chase, not just for your attention, but for your approval. Because deep down, every woman wants to know that she has earned the respect of the man she admires. The irony? Silence doesn't just capture her attention, it earns her respect. Once that respect enters the picture, attraction becomes inevitable. You don't have to shout. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't even need to explain anything. Your silence has already spoken volumes. Let's face the truth. Words can be doubted. Actions can be faked. But silence is undeniable. She might question your texts. She might doubt your promises. But she can't ignore the strength it takes to stay quiet. That's why, in the end, her resistance fades and is replaced by something far more powerful: respect. If you've made it this far, you understand the power of silence. You know that respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn. Stay silent, stay strong, and let your actions speak louder than words. Comment below. Respect is earned, not begged, and share your thoughts on how silence has shaped your relationships. Let's discuss how strength and discipline can transform attraction into something real. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more psychology tips and relationship insights. 8. Your confidence is the deciding factor. When you go silent, it's not just about creating space between you and her. It's a powerful signal that speaks volumes about your confidence. This is not about playing games or being dismissive. It's about making her feel your absence in a way that sparks introspection. When you stop speaking, you allow her to realize something deeper. You're not someone who is desperate for attention or approval. Instead, you command respect simply by standing firm in silence, exuding a quiet but undeniable self-assurance that no words can replace. Confidence is the deciding factor in attraction. It's the invisible force that draws her in, even when you're not actively pursuing her. This kind of confidence doesn't shout or boast. It's an internal strength that speaks through your actions and your ability to remain composed, unshaken by the typical emotional swings. In the midst of silence, you're subtly asserting your independence and your value, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that demands respect. It tells her you're not someone to chase or beg for affection. When you stand in your silence, you present an image of a man who is unbothered by outside forces, unhurried, and confident in his own worth. Women are naturally drawn to men who have this inner strength. When you don't constantly seek validation, you exude a magnetic quality that makes her take a step back and evaluate what she's missing. Your silence forces her to consider your value, to see you as someone who isn't easily swayed or controlled. This creates an environment where she must respect your boundaries and work harder to earn your attention. The real power here is in your ability to remain steady. You're not caught up in the emotional roller coaster that might have defined previous interactions. Instead, you're steady and composed, creating a space of emotional stability. She sees that you are not just going to fold or cave under pressure. When you're silent, you're not just showing that you can handle a moment of space. You're demonstrating that you don't need anyone else to define your self-worth. Confidence isn't about needing anyone's approval. It's about being able to stand strong in your own space, knowing that you are enough as you are. This self-assurance makes you far more attractive than any attempt to chase or seek validation could ever do. Women are drawn to men who are not afraid to stand alone, to show that their value doesn't depend on external validation, but on their own internal self-respect. When you maintain this quiet confidence, it sets the stage for her to begin to chase you, rather than the other way around. In terms of love psychology, this is the core principle. Attraction is not about what you say, but about what you are. When you are confident in your silence, you attract women because they are subconsciously drawn to strength and self-sufficiency. It's not about making her feel insecure. It's about showing her that you are whole on your own. This is a key element of relationship goals, building a partnership where both individuals stand strong, independent, and self-respecting, yet mutually supportive. So remember, the next time you feel the urge to reach out or speak, take a step back. Let your silence do the talking. You're not avoiding her. You're letting her feel the strength of your presence, your confidence. You're making it clear that you don't need anyone's approval to be complete. That's the real secret to attracting women and cultivating strong, lasting relationships. Confidence is key. Be the man who can stand his ground and watch how attraction naturally follows. 9. She realizes your value when you're gone. There's a powerful truth most people fail to grasp. We don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. This truth, echoed by the Stoics, who knew the value of absence in teaching us the lesson of appreciating the present, plays out perfectly in relationships. Think about it. When you stop calling, stop texting, stop chasing, she begins to notice. The silence isn't just a lack of communication, it's a force that makes her reflect on what's missing. It's in your absence that she starts realizing just how much you matter. As the old Stoic principle teaches, what we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. Your absence forces her to reconsider everything, especially your value in her life. This absence creates a vacuum in her world. The simple act of stepping back for a moment sends a clear message. You're not always available. You're not someone she can take for granted. And that's exactly when her perspective shifts. Silence creates scarcity, and when something is scarce, its value skyrockets. By stopping your constant presence in her life, you let her reflect on your importance, and in that reflection, she starts to see you for who you truly are. No longer are you just another man in her world. You're the man. This is the power of silence. It shifts the balance. It makes her wonder, why didn't I cherish him more when he was here? It's like when you hold your ground, when you don't chase, when you stop doing the things you always did. As Marcus Aurelius, a modern Stoic, would say, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When she's forced to reflect on her thoughts about you, she starts to realize that she wasn't valuing you the way she should have. Her mind starts to catch up, and before long, she sees you not as someone to be easily replaced, but as a rare presence in her life that she can't afford to lose. Let's make this clear. This is a strategic form of emotional leadership. You must, as a modern Stoic, learn to control your impulses and show the strength to step back. Be the man who isn't always chasing, always available, always in the picture. That's what makes you valuable. That's what makes her realize she can't have you just any time she wants. You don't need to beg for her attention. You don't need to plead for her to notice your worth. No, you show it by your absence. You teach her your value by withdrawing your presence. The more you stop seeking her approval, the more she starts seeking you. This is not a game, but a lesson in respect, in leadership, and in emotional control. Now, let's take this a step further. Silence is not a passive tool, it's an active power play. It makes her reflect deeply. It teaches her the lesson that nothing and no one should be taken for granted. It forces her to recognize the things she once overlooked. Silence doesn't mean weakness. On the contrary, it shows strength, strength of character, strength of purpose, strength that you define. Remember the Stoics again. Control what you can and let go of what you cannot. You control how much of yourself you give, and by choosing to give less, you teach her to value what she once thought was easily accessible. So, let her wonder. Let her feel your absence. You're teaching her a lesson that will change the dynamics of your relationship forever. You're not someone who's always on demand. You're a man who commands respect. In silence, you make her realize that you're not just another man who'll always be there. You're the one man she can't afford to lose. Thanks for watching, and I hope this message hit home for you. Silence isn't about withdrawing. It's about knowing your worth and standing strong in it. When you respect yourself, you don't need to chase anyone for attention. That's the power you hold. So remember, master silence, and you'll master the respect of others. If you truly understand this, you'll see a shift in how people, especially women, respond to you. If you felt this resonated with you, drop a comment below saying, I choose silence. Let's continue the conversation and explore how this simple yet powerful tool can transform your relationships. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more psychology tips and life-changing advice. You're not just another man. You're the man who commands respect. Keep standing strong. Keep choosing silence. See you in the next video.